Welcome back to The Rock Room and another episode of the Rock Your Divorce podcast, where we help men successfully navigate the divorce process in a healthy way. I'm your host, Stephen Valente. If you're like me, then you do not know the physical toll that the divorce process will take on your body. You may think that any time spent in the gym or on your physical health is selfish. You may tell yourself, I don't have the time or I don't have the money to spend on my physical health. And lastly, you may just be lazy about your physique and say, it doesn't really matter. Well, if that sounds like you, then you are absolutely in the right place. Because in today's episode, we're going to talk about 5 things that you can do to ensure that your body is physically ready, not only for the divorce process, but thriving afterwards. If that sounds like something you're interested in, then plug in, turn it up, and let's hit the stage. So as we discuss on this podcast, there are 7 key areas of your life that if you focus on just a few components each and every day, you will not only begin to navigate this divorce process in a healthy way, but you will absolutely thrive afterwards, right? And the visual that I normally provide is that of a 7-channel mixing board or a soundboard, right? Where each of those channels represents one of the key areas of your life. And then the faders represent, the time and the effort and the energy that you're putting in, maybe sometimes hour by hour to each of those 7 key areas. And it really depends on what's going on in your life at the time. And as I've said before and in previous podcasts, the expectation that you are going to be able to balance each of those faders 100% of the time across all 7 each and every day, it's really setting yourself up for failure, right? And that's putting a lot of pressure and expectation, especially during the divorce process, because it is absolutely crippling at times. It's overwhelming. You're coming into this process disoriented or frustrated or full of anxiety and depression anyway. And so it's really hard to keep that focus. However, if you identify those 7 key areas and some of the key components underneath, and you just keep that habit, you keep that repetition, you put it in your, what I call set lists. There's an episode on set lists you can watch. You will absolutely be able to navigate this process, and I promise you will come out the other side and thrive. So the fader that we're talking about today, the area of your life that we're talking about today is area number 4, and that's the physical, or your physical health. And this is really about the development of a comprehensive health program. And in that development of a comprehensive program, we're really talking about, in today's episode, building your body, strengthening your body. What I like to affectionately call shrink as a human and grow as a man, right? And in some of the mistakes that I made, or that men that I'm coaching or have coached have made in the past, is that starting this divorce process or during this divorce process, you may already be out of shape. You already may be heavier than you want, or you're not taking care of yourself. You don't know because you haven't been to doctors or haven't had an annual exam in years, what's going on within your body. I encourage you to watch the episode where we talk about, finding a physician and utilizing a blood test and blood markers to set baselines. But this is really more about you and your physical health and the physical health of your body during the process. Because what I did not understand or realize is how physically taxing the divorce process is on a man's body. And as I shared in a previous episode, thankfully I had already started my journey into health and wellness and taking care of my body before I filed for divorce. because I can guarantee you that I would have had a very, very difficult time getting through the divorce process alone if I had not been in the shape I was, or getting into the shape that I was. And that's not unlike a lot of men. Good, bad, right, or wrong, while we're married, we have a tendency to gain weight, or we have a tendency to stop working out, or we have a tendency to eat more than we should or drink more than we should. And we just kind of let ourselves go, which is not healthy in a number of reasons, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But I think, the mistakes that are made is that, it's not only the eating habits, but, the sleeping habits as well. And if you are not getting enough rest, especially during the divorce process, that can really play havoc on your body, whether it's, staying up at night, insomnia, the effects that insomnia has on the body over time. It can really, mess you up from a processing standpoint, thinking, getting things done, being distracted at what you're doing, making mistakes. You may find that, it starts to cause some physical, stress and anxiety and depression can roll into that too. So, between poor eating habits and not sleeping, you're only adding more to an already heavily stressful, heavily taxing situation, which is the divorce process. So I encourage you, when you start to take a look at your physical health and you start to do an assessment of, okay, where am I? What are my habits? What am I eating? Your exercise, but also you have to think about sleep as well, because that's a key component of that. The other excuse or the other mindset that I tend to hear from some men is that I don't have the time or I don't have the money to work out. And I think that that's just, that's an excuse that we all can share. We all have very busy lives. We all have jobs. We all have, some of us or most of us have children. And we have other things going in our life, but we still make the excuse that we don't have time to do that. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to make some of that time. But that's an excuse because, quite frankly, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's just how you spend it and what's most important to you and how you allocate that time. So that's another mistake that I hear. The money piece to that, about joining a gym. Gyms are expensive. You may be going through your divorce right now and you're looking at your budget and you're concerned about even making ends meet, which is a very valid conversation. And we're going to talk in a subsequent episode about the finances of divorce, where we're going to talk about budgeting. But you're absolutely right. It may not be, but there are other ways to get physical exercise and not have to go to an expensive gym. So keep that in mind. The other points that sometimes either men that I'm familiar with or I have coached or I'm coaching now, they say, I just don't know where to start, right? I don't know what to do myself. I've never worked out before. I have never been taught anything about diet or nutrition or health and wellness or anything else. So, so those are kind of some of the mistakes and the mindset of those of us that, as we're entering in the divorce process, or if you're already in that divorce process, you may be feeling some of those feelings related to your physical health. But I think more importantly, we really need to talk as men about the benefits of, this taking care of your physical body, and some of the things that not only from a physical perspective, but how does that physical body, that taking care of you in a healthy way, how does that correlate to other key areas of our lives that we discuss here on this podcast? So the first thing that I want to share with you, and I want this to be the first because it's, in my mind, the most important, is that you taking care of yourself today is helping ensure longevity for your life after. And I understand and I know and I appreciate that you may be looking at today as only today, or you may be feeling like, you're never going to get out of today. I can't even get through today. I don't want to worry about what's going to happen in the future, right? And I'm here to encourage you. I'm here to tell you that this divorce process, whether it's a few months or 15 months like mine, or even longer, some of you are going to have longer divorces than that. It's still only a season in your life. It's still only a short time that you are going to have to endure in order to live your life and thrive afterwards. So, kind of talking about the mental and emotional piece to this, you can utilize this physical part of your life to assist in other ways. But just know that you've got a long and thriving life after this divorce that you're going to want to be around for. And why wouldn't you want to be in the best physical shape to experience that, right? So I encourage you on that end. All right, so let's talk about some of the benefits outside of that. And the number one obvious one is this physical transformation that you embark on is really about confidence. It's about self-esteem. It's about kind of displaying these qualities that it means to take care of one's body, right? The health benefits that come with that, right? Stronger muscles, denser bones, cardiovascular, so endurance and performance and all of these things that we'll talk about. They're part of the transformation program. They're a benefit that comes with that. But as a man, especially going through a divorce, there's so many things that are coming down on us as men. We may have been the reason for the divorce. So there are critics out there. There are people that are chastising us for our decisions or our actions or what we did or didn't do, choices that we made. So they're coming at us. We may be coming at us ourselves internally, circling the drain, right? Just, reliving things and feeling those feelings and everything else that, so we're already bombarded from the outside. So when we take care of our bodies through physical activity, through nutrition, health and wellness, and some of the other things that we're going to go through in subsequent episodes like meditation or, other types of physical options, that's when we begin to build or rebuild the confidence that we once had. If your spouse or former spouse left you, right? Or as we've talked about in the past, 70 to 80% of the divorces are filed by women. And most of the time, the man says he didn't even see it coming, regardless of how happy he was or she was, or they knew they were both unhappy. He still didn't see the divorce coming his way. You may not have seen the divorce coming your way. And the hit on your self-esteem and your self-confidence, and feeling lonely and left out and alone is devastating, right? And it has a physical toll. So as you transform your body and you build this confidence, as you build this self-esteem, as you look at the qualities that it takes to do that over the course of time, it's consistency, it's discipline, it's going to the gym or eating the right thing even when you don't want to. And those display qualities in men that ultimately men and women recognize, right? I've joked about it in the past. You can't buy a good physique. I don't care what plastic surgeon that you go to. You can only get a great physique by diet and exercise and by doing it consistently, and you're doing it, right? There's no easy pill. I don't care what fad diet or medication people go on. Ultimately, those men that take care of themselves, that watch what they're eating, that consistently work out and take care of their bodies, those characteristics that it takes to do that on a consistent basis and be dedicated and loyal to that process, those are qualities that are a reflection of your personality. That's a reflection of your mental mindset and your mental capabilities. So don't overlook the physical aspect of this as just being physical. It also affects, as I said, other different parts of your life. So take that for what it's worth. Working out itself has benefits, right? Both from a physical, so we've talked about strengthening your muscles. We've talked about strengthening your bones and bone density. We've talked about, cardiovascular, right? Getting your endurance up, your performance up, right? Being able to, perform longer in whatever activities that you're doing. And I think that those are benefits, but it's also helping you with some things that you may be struggling with, right? Like depression or anxiety. The chemicals that are released during workouts, during the workout, post-workout, along with some of the things that we've talked about with self-confidence and self-esteem and seeing yourself go from, point A to point B to point G or whatever it is, they all help your mental and emotional well-being while you're working out, right? So there's kind of a synergy that's going on there when you're in the gym or when you're, doing some sort of exercise, and maybe that's out in nature or whatever it is. So, so take a look at that. I think ultimately, when we hear people say that I just don't have the time or I don't have the money, I think it's about prioritization. And, in a previous episode, we talked about a set list and what rock stars do with their set lists and why they have set lists, and ultimately how a set list for you during the day is your daily agenda, right? And the things that are most important to you are the things that you have to do for your health and wellness, right? And your well-being and everything that goes on during the day, you have to make time for that, right? So the excuse that we tell ourselves that we don't have the time to spend on ourselves, we're just kind of repeating that pattern of excuses or, making time for things that aren't necessarily as important or not necessarily as valuable or healthy in our lives. So don't fall a victim to that, because you can also multitask as you're doing some of these exercises, right? Like I know, for example, if I'm walking outside and, I do a 5 mile in my area, if I'm walking my 5 miles, I'm also praying. I'm also listening to podcasts. I'm also doing some of the things that I know that I need to do for my overall health. And I only have a certain amount of time in the day because I'm prioritizing. So anything that I can do to kind of multitask or in some cases hypertask, I will do. So I got into a story with someone that I know, and she's female, and we were talking about men and their physical bodies, right? And how men should be physically fit. We should be strong. We are built. God gave us our makeup, right, with testosterone and muscles and strength and all this other stuff. To bring that to the world and to a relationship. And we were kind of joking around, and she said, it's not like I have anything against women firefighters, but if my house is on fire and I need to be carried from the 3rd floor down, I want a man firefighter. And I kind of joked. I was like, do you want him to be single? She didn't answer that. But her point is that men and women have roles to play, traditional roles to play, and that men should be taking care of ourselves so that if there is something that happens in the world, like a tornado or like a fire, or if there's some weirdo that, comes into a restaurant that we're sitting in, that we need to be physically capable of protecting those that we love. And so, I think that the strength that you have as a man is important, and you need to embrace that strength. But the only way to have that strength is to start and continually work at it to be the best man physically that you can be. And that takes time, and that takes effort, and that takes, you not giving yourself excuses on why you can or cannot do that. The last thing that I'll say, and I mentioned testosterone, but we're gonna discuss men's health and men's health issues later on in subsequent episodes. But after this divorce process is done, not during. Let me hear you. Not during your divorce process, but well after your divorce process is done, and you are ready, willing, and able, after you have done some healing, to go back out there and meet women, you're going to want to be in the best physical shape that you can be. Because the statistics are out there, especially if you get on dating apps. They're not going to know how great your personality is. They're not even going to know what kind of job you have really or what you make. But they're going to see you, and good, bad, right, or wrong, they're either going to swipe right or they're going to swipe left. And if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't look good or the best you can be, then odds are you're not gonna be successful when it comes to those dating apps or meeting women or having women interested in you. And that's not to say that women are superficial that way, but let's be honest. I mean, the statistics show, the dating apps and the dating statistics show that women are attracted to certain kinds of men, and those men happen to be fit, right? They just do. Yes, you've got some out there that say that they're into dad bods. That's amazing. At the end of the day, if they have a guy who's built and takes care of himself or a dad bod, I'm pretty sure she's going to go with the built guy. But I may have some guests on the podcast in later episodes, and maybe we'll run that as an experiment. But anyway, so I encourage you to take care of yourself first for you and the health benefits for you and the longevity. But at the end of the day, if you do decide to get back out into the world and you want to meet somebody and have a long-term relationship, or eventually, if you choose to get married again, you're going to want to be in the best physical shape that you can be. And sex has a lot to do with that, right? And we're going to talk about sex and men and sex in a subsequent episodes. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're in great shape for that. So, okay. So with all of that being said, now it's time to discuss the 5 things that you can do to ensure that you're not only strong through the divorce process, but that you are healthy and well and can thrive after that process is done. Okay, so 2 quick things that you have to do before you start these top 5. The first one is go see your physician. I've already done an episode on this. This is where you need to get blood work done. You meet with them for an annual visit or kind of a wellness check to make sure that your body is ready for what you need to do. But first and foremost, do not evade your physician. Do not evade your personal primary care doctor. Go have that done first. The second thing is, we're going to do subsequent episodes on each of these 5 things, or a combination of, to give you more in-depth how-tos, more in-depth what-to-dos. But I want to cover those top 5 things right now. So the first thing is, you've got to become a gym rat. You've got to hit the gym. And whether you used to work out in your high school days when you played football, or maybe during your marriage at some time, you actually got into a physical routine, if you're not there, or if it hasn't been something that's been consistent in your life, you've got to make going to the gym a priority. I'm not just talking about cardio. I'm not just talking about weights. I mean, you need to start looking at things like weight training and cardio, but other things too. You could do MMA, you could do boxing, you can do yoga, you can do, some of these CrossFit or fitness classes. But ultimately, strength training and cardiovascular training are a must to get your body back into shape to be able to withstand all that the physical aspect of divorce is going to do to your body and the benefits once you get out of this divorce process to live life and thrive afterwards. Don't make the excuse that you don't have time, because we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Go watch the episode that I did on set lists and building a habits routine, building a daily agenda, why it's important to actually physically make time, block time each and every day for some of those things that are ultra important, like your physical health. So don't give excuses that you don't have the time, and don't give excuses that you don't have the money. There are gyms out there that are expensive, that offer a lot of amenities. But at the same time, too, there's some cheap gyms out there. Look at Planet Fitness. And if you can't afford $1 to go there, there's calisthenics. There's weights you can buy. There are things that you can do outside, right? So don't give excuses of why you can't because of time and money. And lastly, what I'll say, the internet is full of YouTube videos or Instagram pages of men and workout routines and nutritional, which is the second piece. So from going to the gym and building a strong weights and cardiovascular, you have to look at your diet. Now, we can all look at each other and say, hey, they're eating the right things or not eating right things. But you can look yourself in the mirror and know, do you need a better nutritional lifestyle? And I'll guarantee you do, right? We all do. So make fitness and nutrition together, because you can't really have one without the other. And like I said before, you can go on YouTube, you can go on Instagram or Facebook. There's lots of groups that you can join. There's lots of free content out there to help build plans to start. But ultimately, I recommend spend $35, $50, whatever it is, and go see a nutritionist. You may even have nutritional and health and wellness through your employer, through your HR department, or through your benefits package. So for those of you that have benefits packages that include that, take advantage of those free opportunities that you already pay for. If you work in a corporate environment and there's an on-site HR, there's a pretty good chance there's an on-site health and wellness person that can help you build not only a workout plan, but a nutritional plan. So that's number 2 is diet. What I'd also like to say is take that diet to lifestyle. Okay, this is going to be a long-term process, and really you need to do this for the rest of your life. So, don't just look at it as a fad diet or a crash diet. Look at it as changing your lifestyle to not only help you get what you need to build your muscles, build your bones, get better cardiovascular, so strength, endurance, performance, all of that, but really nutrition as well. Because as we age, nutrition plays a big part in how we age and how well we age, and that's always something that needs to be top of your mind. The third thing might be a little controversial, but I did it myself over 4 years ago now. Give up alcohol. It has nothing to do if you had a problem with alcohol before. What it is there are so many health benefits, both from a physical perspective, but also a mental and emotional perspective, by just leaving alcohol out of the equation. And I will tell you, during the divorce process, you don't need any other additional opportunity for your former wife or soon-to-be former wife to use anything against you. And normally with alcohol comes bad decisions. So my recommendation to you is immediately just cut it out of your life. If you feel like you have a problem with it, then of course get some help with it. But we're going to have a subsequent episode on sobriety, so check that one out here in the future. The fourth thing, once you get your blood work done from your physician in your annual visit, you're going to have a list of all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that your body is lacking. Okay, so the best thing to do, talk about vitamins, talk about supplements, work with your physician, work with your nutritionists, get online and do your own research. But your body is going to need vitamins and minerals and nutrients that you're probably not taking in enough of each and every day. By you knowing what your body needs and being attuned to how that affects both the physical, mental, and emotional side of it, make sure that you're using good vitamins and good nutrient supplements within this lifestyle change that you're making. And the number five thing that you can do is rest. I know it's very, very difficult. You're going through a lot right now. You're going to continue to go through a lot. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of stress that brings depression, that brings anxiety. Anxiety sometimes can bring insomnia. So all these things that you're doing in your life will help you with your rest if done correctly. Working out, eating right, making time, stopping the doom scrolling, stopping alcohol. That will all help you do what your body needs ultimately to do, and that's rest. Yes, you need physical rest, but you also need mental rest. You need emotional rest. And all of those things together will absolutely help you navigate the divorce process in a healthy way and thrive afterwards. So, with all that said, if there's anything that I said today that either struck a chord with you or made you feel like you need some more information or could use some help or coaching, I encourage you to go to www.rockyourdivorce.com and schedule a free 30-minute phone call with me because I know I can help you when it comes to navigating the divorce process in a healthy way and thriving afterwards. While you're there, what I ask you to do also is like and subscribe to the Rock Your Divorce podcast. And please, if you know men that are either starting the divorce process or they're currently in it, or they've already been through the divorce process and they just really didn't navigate it in a healthy way and could use some guidance or assistance, send them here to the Rock Room. Let them learn and know about the Rock Your Divorce podcast so we can all help each other navigate the process and thrive afterwards. That ends another episode of the Rock Your Divorce podcast. I'll see you next time here in the Rock Room for another episode.